welcome to this special edition of Culture. Today, we devote our show to one of Israel's most innovative TV creators, one whose work became known around the world. Hagai Levi is the man behind In Treatment, which was adapted to 17 different countries and counting, including the US, where it aired on HBO. His latest show, The Affair, currently airs on Showtime, receiving rave reviews. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome Hagai to our studio. Thank you so much for coming in today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about the new show, about The Affair.
Well, it started here again. It started here as a kind of investigation of this concept of betrayal, you know, of adultery, and I wanted to see what's going to happen if two really, you know, good people who are devoted to their families and to their values and everything. What happens if these kind of people having an affair? And it was important for me to show this story from both point of views, because usually you don't see usually, I mean, the woman is just the bitch and or the man is just, you know, this crazy guy, whatever. So it was important to show the same story from both point of views, and to tell the story in a retrospective, you know, which was like what happened after several years.
When you look back at the
exactly,
affair.
Because yes, everything is great or not great, but dangerous. But then again, if you look at it somehow in retrospective, somehow you get an ironic point of view of everything happened. So those are devices who lead.
Yeah. All right, you know what? Let's take a look at a clip from the show and come back.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember seeing him for the first time?
It was so long ago. Who remembers?
And we're hoping that you do.
I was a happy man back then.
But?
Well, that's it. There is no but. When I look back, I can't tell you why it happened.
You guys here on vacation?
Certainly are.
Welcome to the end of the world.
I'm Noah, by the way. Allison, right?
Ah, yeah, that's right.
Was she flirting with you?
No.
I'd love to see that smile.
Allison? Hi.
You found me. Damn, I'm Sandy.
It's late. I gotta go.
So go.
So beyond the drama that obviously exists within the family, there's also like an element of mystery here that is because we're introduced to the characters and to the story through an investigation with the police.
The investigation started as a device to tell the story in retrospective. You know, it wasn't supposed to be. It's not a thriller, right? It's not a detective story.
Okay.
It's more like a way to tell the story. I mean, it's important, and of course there is a mystery, and you'll see, you know, and at some point we'll have a body
spoilers.
and everything. No, but you know that already, right? But it's more about a device that forced them to tell the story backwards and see what.
Yeah. Now, you wrote it with and developed it with Sarah Trim, an American TV writer. What was that like, working with a co-creator, an American one? Because if I'm not mistaken, till now you were sole captain.
Yeah. We met each other on the set of In Treatment. She wrote a lot of great episodes of In Treatment, the adaptation. The American adaptation of Betty Paul. So we became friends. It's not easy, let me tell you. I mean, I usually work alone, and not only alone, but in an environment which I can afford to do whatever I want. You know, this is Israel. It's not about money. It's not about rating. I mean, where I work, it's mostly about to do what you dream and what you think, what is in your mind. So
was her input as a woman especially important in this show?
It started as very integral idea that I'll write his side and she'll write her side. Later on, Sarah, you know, wrote everything and ran the show herself. which I think it's a good thing, because I do think that one person should lead a show or a film or whatever. I truly believe that in the end it should be one person vision. But we cooperated, very well, and with Showtime as well. When you work in America, anyway, it's a team show.
Right.
It's a teamwork. You don't work alone. It's not like a director of a film or whatever.
Well, I'm curious to hear about the differences, and we'll get to that. But first, even in this show, all of your work is so innovative, and not just the stories, but the format itself. This show as well, and we've seen it in treatment. Is that as important to you as the story, or?
Yeah, you could say so. I mean, I hate the word format, but yeah, when I have a story, the next thought is, what would be the best way to tell it? And it's very important for me to find a new way to tell a story, because
Why?
I think every story has a specific way in which it should be told. I really believe it. I feel that when I have an idea or a story, I feel that some structure is waiting for me to discover it. And this is the nice thing about working on television, that you can work as a creator. Like create new structures, which is something very hard to do in cinema, for instance, which is quite rigid. You have this 90 minutes, whatever. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun because you can play with so many elements, and it's part of the job.
Yeah. Any plans of bringing The Affair, making an Israeli version?
No.
No, not
It's
anytime
go only
soon.
vice versa.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We only export.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, working in the U.S. again versus working in Israel. I mean, obviously you have bigger budgets in the U.S. But do you have less freedom?
Yes, absolutely. And you have to take it into consideration when coming abroad. When you do that, that you lose certain amount of creative freedom in order to get much more money and audience. And so the projects I'm doing in Israel are still very close to my heart, because then is when I get the most freedom that I can get.
It's the most authentic you, in a way.
Absolutely, because it's not about money. You don't have money. You're not going to make money. So everything left is your passion.
The upside of being small and poor.
Right. And in America, of course, you have to take into consideration a lot of elements, a lot of people who telling you their opinion, and the money speaks. So it's different.
We're seeing lots of formats, lots of shows and people who are now exporting either ideas or themselves to the States. Why do you think this is happening here? Why is Israel becoming such a creative force on a global scale?
Right. I mean, I've been asked this question so many times. I really don't have one.
You should have an answer by now.
Yeah, I know, but I don't. I mean, I think there is a lot of, the fact that you don't have money here allows you to work on a project for a longer time. You usually will work on a series, like 2-3 years.
Right.
And then you have to force yourself to think of all of the elements. And that usually leads you to be more innovative.
Right.
I mean, you don't have to feed the monster all the time, because there is no monster.
All right, let's talk a little bit about In Treatment. After all, it's the show that put you in the public's eye, and the first show that, as we said, was adapted abroad. Let's watch a moment.
Sure.
Julia called me and she said she was not comfortable staying with me alone in the house. I think all would be better if she simply disappears.
Do you feel that you could harm Julia? You need to see your sister before she dies.
What the hell happened between the two of you, anyway?
Sorry?
The way you talk about her. It's like you're still in love with her.
I called him after our session.
Who? Kevin?
He was like, great, we'll meet you in the city, but I kind of wanted to see their place, so I said I would come to them. And
we had talked about spending another few sessions.
What are you saying? Do you want me to leave? Because I don't feel like you really want me here. I don't feel like you actually want to hear.
So this was obviously from the American version.
And the third season, which is totally original, you know, it wasn't based on our, because we made only two seasons, and this is the new, this is the third and original one, and that's why I think I like her most of
really?
all seasons. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm curious. What do you think about this format, about this show, made it so adaptable?
Right. A lot of elements, I think. I mean, yes. First, psychology is so deep into our culture, and also in a cultures when psychotherapy is new for them, like East Europe, for instance.
Right,
you know,
right.
It was very popular, and I would say like 7 versions were done in East Europe when they don't have psychotherapy scene at all, but it's considered as part of the Western world that they want to belong to, right? So they will adapt it. But also I think it, like, people missed this kind of thing in their television, you know, which is more quiet and more sincere and about good people, not about, you know, all these games and deceiving and murders and everything. And I think it touched a nerve, you know, that people really missed this kind of cerebral, more intimate things in their television.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite adaptation of the show?
You know, my family is from Italy, so obviously I liked the Italian adaptation very, very much. But
it also just sounds great. Now, you worked with Asi Dayan on the Israeli version, one of Israel's true giants of culture. He passed away recently. What was the experience of working with him like?
It wasn't easy, but it was the most important experience of everything by making in treatment or Betipol. It was a very, very close relationship even after the show ended. It's like getting into mind of someone who is very, very, I mean, genius, but also very vulnerable and very sensitive person. And again, very violent one, you know. So and all these things you can see in his face when he's, you know, because it's a lot about his face. The whole show is about what he thinks, you know. He doesn't speak much, he doesn't do much. So it's everything about what's going on in his head. And there are so few people that force you to think what's going on in their mind, and he's one of them.
Well, and it was a beautiful result that you got together. I got to touch. We're almost out of time, but I got to touch quickly on The Cursed, your last, your most recent project in Hebrew. It was a series of faux documentary with some greats of Israeli culture. Some better known, some less known. Was that were you trying to reintroduce them to society of today?
Absolutely. First, it was very important for me to come back to Israel and do something which is totally Israeli and you know, local and personal, you know, with nothing to do with the world. And yes, I felt those characters had a lot to say to us. And nobody knows them. Nobody remembers them. They don't have any agent today, you know. And it was important for me to find a way to introduce them to a new generation.
And the way you chose is quite special. I mean, it's as if it's a documentary. It's as if you're interviewing them. They're portrayed by actors, but their text
by unknown actors. So a lot of people thought it's a real documentary.
But the text is theirs.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
How long do you think before people treat it as legit documentaries, as legit interviews with the characters themselves?
I don't know. You know, but it took us, you know, it wasn't... I started it as a normal documentary, but you know, this is the process that I'm talking about that you can do in Israel. That you have two years of just looking for the right way to do it, you know, and find the right format, so to speak. So it's a lot about searching.
Yeah. Well, the result is phenomenal. I think. Before we end, I'll ask a few easier questions,
Yeah.
I think. What do you watch on TV?
Oh, not much. I never just turn on the television. You know, it's not something that I do. I always watch through VOD or whatever.
Right.
I watch films.
Okay.
Mainly I watch films.
Any chance of you...
Yeah, my new project is a feature film.
Oh,
yeah,
wonderful.
I'm working on it.
What can
right
you
now.
tell us about?
It's a film that's going to take place in Europe, in Amsterdam actually, about a woman who lived there in the 40s, pre-Holocaust. It's a very special story, which is, you know, we don't have enough time.
All right. Well, we're gonna keep following, of course. Hagai, thanks again so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank you at home for watching this as well. I hope you enjoyed watching our show. You can find our past shows online, i24news.tv, and please join us again tomorrow for another edition of Culture.